What if I told you that behind the glitz, the Grammys, and the glowing lights of Las Vegas, there's a story Bruno Mars has been quietly carrying with him all along? A story not about fame, or fortune, or the countless headlines that follow him wherever he goes, but about family. A bond so deep, so unshakable, that it plays like the very heartbeat of his music. And just recently, in the simplest of ways, through a single Instagram story, Bruno Mars gave the world another glimpse of that hidden truth that it wasn't a flashy announcement. No award show stage. No red carpet spectacle. Just a black and white photo, raw and real. Bruno Mars standing beside his brother, Eric Hernandez, the powerhouse drummer of his band, locked in the groove of a live performance. And over it, 2 words, "Happy Birthday," but if you think this was just a casual post, you might want to look closer. Because what Bruno Mars revealed in that moment isn't just about a birthday, it's about the story of 2 brothers, their sacrifices, their struggles, and the unbreakable rhythm that has carried Bruno Mars from the streets of Honolulu to the biggest stages in the world. And tonight, we're going to uncover that story. So, before we dive deep, hit that subscribe button, tap like, and turn on the notification bell. Because once you step into this journey, you won't want to miss a single beat of what's coming next. The tale of Bruno Mars is often told as if it began with fame, his Super Bowl halftime show, his Grammys, his record-breaking hits. But to truly understand Bruno Mars, you have to go back. Back to Hawaii. Back to a boy named Peter Gene Hernandez, raised in a family where music wasn't just entertainment, it was survival. In the small clubs of Waikiki, long before the world called him Bruno, Peter performed alongside his family. His father, his sisters, his brother Eric, all of them hustling night after night to put food on the table. Music wasn't a dream. It was their life raft. And in that tiny spotlight, something was born, not just a performer, but a partnership between brothers that would echo decades later. Eric Hernandez, older, disciplined, steady on the drums. Bruno Mars, younger, wild, unpredictable, desperate to set the world on fire. 2 brothers, opposite in temperament, but locked in rhythm. One laying down the beat, the other chasing melodies across the stage. Together, they weren't just a family act. They were a force, but here's the part you rarely hear. While Bruno Mars chased the spotlight, it was Eric who stayed in the shadows, holding it all together. In the chaos of clubs, when the crowd was loud and the money thin, it was Eric's steady hand on the drums that kept Bruno Mars grounded. When the family questioned whether this musical life could last, it was Eric who believed that his little brother had something more. And when the world came calling, offering Bruno Mars fame beyond imagination, it was Eric who made the choice to follow, not as a tag-along, but as the pulse behind the music. Think about that. How many stories of stardom have we heard where family fades into the background? Where siblings are left behind while one climbs to the top. But here, the story flips. Bruno Mars didn't leave his brother behind, he carried him with him, onto the biggest stages of the planet, and maybe that's why, when Bruno Mars shared that birthday post, it resonated. Because it wasn't just a picture. It was a reminder, the man we know as the world showman is, at his core, still a brother saying thank you. But let's pause here. Because this is where the twist comes in. Most fans think of Bruno Mars as the face, the voice, the star. But what if I told you that many of the legendary grooves, the live energy, the seamless rhythm, the fire that makes a Bruno Mars concert unforgettable, come from Eric Hernandez himself? Without Eric, would there even be the Bruno Mars we know today? Look at the live performances. The 2014 Super Bowl halftime show, where Bruno Mars shattered expectations with a mix of energy and precision. Who was right behind him, pounding the drums with ferocity and control? Eric Hernandez. Look at the tours, from 24K Magic to An Evening with Silk Sonic. At every show, every beat that makes the crowd jump, it's Eric's drumming driving Bruno Mars forward. And yet, Eric never seeks the spotlight. He doesn't stand at the front. He doesn't give the interviews. Instead, he allows Bruno Mars to shine, knowing the world will never fully see the sacrifices behind the curtain. That's brotherhood. That's loyalty. That's the story hidden in a single birthday wish, but here's where it gets even more emotional. Back in Hawaii, the Hernandez family went through struggles most fans will never know. Money was scarce. The family's performances weren't glamorous, they were survival. At times, they were laughed at. At times, they were overlooked. But through it all, Bruno Mars and Eric learned one thing: that rhythm and family can carry you through anything. So when Bruno Mars made it big, when the fame finally came, he didn't forget. He couldn't forget. And that's why he keeps Eric by his side, not out of obligation, but out of love. Because deep down, Bruno Mars knows that every beat of his music is built on the foundation his brother helped lay. That's the secret. That's the heartbeat behind the birthday post. It's not about the glitz. It's not about the fans. It's about the family bond that has always been there, long before the world was watching. And here's the cliffhanger. What does this mean for the future of Bruno Mars? He's conquered the charts. He's dominated live performances. But could there be something more, a project, perhaps, that puts family even closer to the center? Imagine Bruno Mars not just as a solo artist, not just as Silk Sonic, but as part of a larger story that brings Eric Hernandez into the spotlight he has long deserved. Could that Instagram post be a clue? A hint? Bruno Mars is a master of subtlety. He rarely says things without reason. And fans who look closely know, sometimes, the smallest post carries the biggest message. So tonight, as we reflect on that one photo, two brothers on stage, the words "Happy Birthday" floating above them, we realize something bigger. Bruno Mars isn't just celebrating a birthday. He's reminding us all of the power of family, the unseen sacrifices, the people who keep us grounded when the world wants to lift us too high, and maybe that's the lesson hidden here. Behind every superstar, there's a rhythm we don't always see. A heartbeat that keeps the dream alive. For Bruno Mars, that rhythm has a name: Eric Hernandez. So, the next time you hear a Bruno Mars song, the next time you feel the beat that makes your heart race, remember, you're not just hearing Bruno. You're hearing the echo of a brotherhood, the sound of family, the rhythm of loyalty. And if that doesn't make you respect Bruno Mars even more, what will? But maybe the most haunting thought is this: what if things had turned out differently? What if Eric had chosen a different path, one that didn't involve the long nights of rehearsal, the endless travel, the sacrifice of standing in the background while his brother stood in the spotlight? Would Bruno Mars still have become the global icon we know today? Or would the rhythm, the very heartbeat of his music, have been missing? It's almost poetic, how the world sees Bruno Mars as the star, yet every note he sings is carried by the invisible power of Eric's beat. Like a movie soundtrack you don't notice until it's gone, Eric's presence is both subtle and monumental. And that's what makes Bruno's birthday tribute so powerful. Because in two simple words, "Happy Birthday," he said something louder than any arena concert: I see you. I remember. I wouldn't be here without you. And maybe that's the real twist. The biggest revelation isn't in the fame, or the accolades, or the endless headlines. It's in the quiet acknowledgement that behind Bruno Mars, there's always been a brother, keeping time, ensuring the dream never falls off beat. This is more than music. This is legacy. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, if it made you see Bruno Mars in a new light, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit like, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And in the comments below, tell us, what does family mean to you? Because at the end of the day, the story of Bruno Mars and Eric Hernandez isn't just about fame, it's about the rhythm that connects us all, and that is a beat that will never stop.